So this is usually kind of a dead period where we're just waiting for the draft, but really Steelers making some moves still. Interesting interesting moves the past couple weeks. They get Braden Fajoko, a defensive tackle who was with the Chargers, and Keanu Neal, a safety. And they lose Terrell Edmonds. The Terrell Edmonds one is just really head scratching. The only thing I can think about that is he just wanted a change of scenery. He just wanted to get out because he only signed for like 1 year, $2 million with the Eagles. That's
seems like we could have done $2 million.
Yeah.
So because they made it sound like it was going to be an issue of matching the money, and that clearly wasn't it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. It was either the Steelers wanted to move on or he wanted to move on.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, he got the same, it was the same exact situation as last year. He's like, okay, I'm a free agent. And Steelers like, okay, bye. If you find something cool, but if not, you could come back here. And he did. And it's like, and the same exact thing happened last year. This year, it's like, okay, man, if you want to come back, cool, but too bad. Yeah. So, hey, good for him. Hopefully he could find a better situation, and we'll see. But so the safety Keanu Neal is basically described as not like a replacement for Terrell Edmonds, but basically a run stopping safety. And the tackle Braden Fajoko is described as a run stopping defensive tackle. So they are basically getting ready to play the Browns and the Ravens is basically how I see it. And that's fine.
A lot of the players that we've signed have been all about the run. I feel like there's maybe one guy where I was like, oh, he can rush the passer, or he can, be beneficial in the passing game, or, against the pass. The rest of them seemed like they were all well known for the run stopping ability. So,
so that brings us to the draft. Does that really change anything? Really, they're free. All they did with most of their free agent signings is say, we don't need anything. We're not drafting for need at the draft. We're just drafting for best player available. We got everything covered.
It's an excellent position to be in. I mean, you can't be in much better position. I recognize that a lot of the people we sign might be considered primarily depth pieces, but regardless, you're still feeling like you've got a pretty solid group. Do you know what I mean? So you're not desperate. And I think that that's tremendous to go in with that ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it allows a lot of flexibility, right? Like you can do pretty much whatever you want.
Almost anything.
Within
reason. Right. Within reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I still think cornerback is a priority. Yeah, they got players, they got guys, but they could really use an upgrade there. So I totally expect
them. Interesting to see what's still hanging around at 17. I feel like this draft has been so, I don't know. I don't remember in recent years feeling like the draft is quite as unpredictable as this one is. You know what I mean? With this feeling of players slipping more than you expect them to, or some players rising up more than you expect them to, and teams changing their needs because of their off-season activities. So I feel like there's a lot of flexibility still in what can happen.
I'm hearing that if they were to trade up to get their guy, they wouldn't have to, within reason, not to go to number 3, but if they wanted to go say to Philly, which Lockdown Steelers brought this up, we seem to be buddies with Philly lately. Maybe we want to trade to number 10 because they have
they have the 10th pick. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So apparently we wouldn't have to give a whole lot up, and we would still have the 32nd pick. I don't know how that works exactly, but
I believe that the trade would be 17 and 49 to move up to 10.
Right.
Yeah, so they would still have 32. So they would basically still have 2 high draft picks. So
yeah.
In that scenario, let's say they do trade up. who ideally would you like them to get?
Christian Gonzalez.
That's what I was thinking. That
Who did you say?
Gonzalez, that Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah, Christian Gonzalez. Yeah.
I mean, there's also that what's it, Skoronsky.
Skoronsky, yeah. He's good.
Yeah, he's good. The thing about the thing I hear about the draft is it is deep in cornerback. Well, if it's deep in cornerback, then maybe don't get a cornerback at 17 or 10 or whatever. Maybe wait. Maybe get a tackle or something at 17. Maybe
or draft two.
Or draft two cornerbacks.
Yeah.
They could use two cornerbacks easily.
They've done it before.
Yeah.
It was with like Senquez Golson and some other dude that like both of them were just total trash. They like drafted them back. It was like literally back to back selections were both cornerbacks. So,
Right.
You know, not that I suggest they do that now, but you know,
they could.
I mean, they could, yeah.
Yeah.
They have almost everything covered. I mean, they don't need a defensive lineman. They could really use one.
Right.
Especially, you know, Cam Hayward is long in the tooth, and but you know, I think cornerback is the big need, and yeah, they could use a tackle, but we could live with Dan Moore, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, especially because it's, you know, such a pass-oriented league, you know what I mean, now, and in the division that we're in, you know, they're all about just throwing the ball all over the yard, you know what I mean, and we just don't have the DBs, aside from Fitzpatrick, you know what I mean, like, who else in that group is like, oh yeah, he's awesome. You know what I mean? You almost need a shutdown corner. You need one. And I sort of feel like to get one via the draft, you know what I mean? Especially if it's a first round, you can get the 4 years with the 5th-year option.
Yeah.
Get him cheap. And he may be, if he's awesome, he may be a guy who's around for 2 contracts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or 3 contracts, you know, for a career Steeler, maybe, you know what I mean? So I sort of
I'm not as enamored with the Joey Porter Jr. pick as like everybody else in Steeler Nation is, but I will say that if it was the right situation where he was available, do you know what I mean, where we weren't giving much up to get him, or we thought he was still going to be available at 17, I don't hate the idea, because I think he's so familiar with the organization. I think that does have like a little bit of a benefit to it, do you know what I mean? So I don't hate it. I don't, you know, love it as much as some of the other guys, but I don't know that we'll get those other guys, you know. So if we really need a corner, like, who's that leaving behind, you know what I mean? I like him better than some of the other options that come behind him.
We won't know for a couple of more years, and obviously if he doesn't go to Pittsburgh, Steelers fans are still gonna be like, you know what I mean, watching him. I'm hearing from a source of mine has a third round grade on Joey Porter.
Whoa!
So
because I saw he was ranked at like 16th or something on the big board.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, it's like the Steelers had a first round grade on Mason Rudolph. You know what I mean? And that was really okay.
Right.
So, I mean, you never really know, but.
Right. But I mean, if that's really what the scuttlebutt is he still around at 32? And then maybe that's a reasonable place for him. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Of course, you know, we have no idea, but I don't hate him as much as some of the guys that come behind him. I don't want to get him just because he has Steeler ties.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I do think he has some talent.
I've seen him going anywhere from like 11 to 20.
Right.
You know, so he could be there. He might not be there. I don't know. I'm just there's so many variables. There's so many, you know, there's so many crazy things that are going to happen.
Yeah.
17's a good place to be, because, you know, I love when it's like, well, maybe the quarterback Richardson will fall out of the first round or something. Like, get out of here. It's a quarterback.
He's not. Come on.
It would not surprise me if the first 5 picks are quarterbacks and
No,
someone trades up for them or something like that. It would not surprise me at all. And if that's the case, you get a lot of players like that. Then that's going to be more players available to the Steelers. And then there's that whole Jalen Carter thing. Like he could easily fall to the Steelers, and then that's a really interesting dilemma. Where should the Steelers take him? I don't want him.
If he falls, I don't want him. I think if he falls to 17, there's something that people are seriously seeing wrong with that kid, and there's serious concerns, and I don't want him. I mean, this isn't Draft Day, the movie, where people are just being, egotistical and blind. This is real, and I think they know, and so yeah, I think if he falls to 17. That he's not worth the risk. There's other players.
And him coming out and saying he doesn't want to meet with any teams that are outside the top 10.
But I'm sure that's his agent trying to shush the rumor mill. Right. But even still, please, get over yourself, buddy.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like not drafting you just because you're a jerk.
Don't get me wrong. He was going through a lot.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, life happens.
Also going through a lot of his own making.
That you can persevere and that you can. Not let
be mature
as a player or as a person.
Yeah.
The dude has a million red flags. Not just
a million.
Not just the cockiness, not just that issue he went through.
No.
I heard that basically he needed to be babysat. He needed to be reminded, hey, it's time to go play the game.
Yeah.
That's who you want. That's what you want as a professional that you're giving millions of dollars to.
That's not a good fit for the Steelers. He can go to the Raiders or somebody else that to take guys like them. That's Dallas.
Yeah,
he'd be perfect for Dallas. Oh, Jerry Jones.
He's a shoe-in for Jerry Jones will babysit him all day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Going back to the quarterbacks, and I don't know if it's going to be true. I have sort of this gut feeling that this quarterback class is going to end up being total crap.
All of them?
The top three. I sort of feel like Anthony Richardson might end up being total crap, and I feel like the top three guys are not going to be as good as they,
There's a whole bunch of questions there. That Bryce Young is about the size of this Commander Riker action figure.
Yeah,
he is a tiny dude, and listen, tiny dudes don't work in the NFL.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson was an anomaly, and Kyler Murray is kind of an anomaly. But he's hurt half the time, and that's the thing. It's
and that's why.
Yeah,
in part,
because you're tiny, he's really tiny. He's he
is. He also, I thought, backslid a lot last year from where he was the year before. And I think that's a bit concerning. I recognize that there's a lot of turnover at Alabama with players leaving for the NFL every year and all of those things. But, you're definitely replacing them with quality people. It's not like you had 5 guys go out for the draft and now you got no one on offense. Your next man up at Alabama is as good as the man who left. And I don't feel like he had that. And, I'm an Alabama fan, and I don't feel like he had that last year. And, it's a little concerning.
Mm-hmm.
And Richardson reminds me of a better version of Malik Willis. Malik Willis has amazing tools, but zero good experience. And you saw what happened when he had to play. He was a deer in headlights.
Mm-hmm.
So he might have the great physical tools, but you're not ready yet. He's probably a year or two away.
Yeah. Bryce Young's stats are 5'10", 194.
Right.
So he's probably 5'8.5", about 182.
Right.
I know how those measurements work. I know what men do.
There was that picture he took with Mina Kimes, who is just a tiny woman, and
they
looked at the same size. I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst possible thing that can happen to this dude.
Right. Terrible.
And she's like,
platform.
Right. And she's like, I was with you. I'm like, what do you care, lady? You're a tiny woman.
Shush.
Right. Exactly.
Shush. Making it worse.
Jerry Dulac, who, if you don't know, is very well connected to what's going on. Sometimes he calls things way before it happens.
Yeah.
He in the chat last week, someone said, "Who is your top cornerback, offensive tackle, and defensive line?"
I saw that.
He said, "Cornerback Kaylee Ringo, tackle Darnell Wright, defensive line Brian Breesy." I could tell you they love 2 of those guys. One of those 2 are getting drafted. One of those 3 are getting drafted.
I thought the same thing. He said something else interesting. Yeah. Who? Hope it's not who.
Right. A Ringo. I mean, I hear if it's Ringo,
yeah.
I hope it's not until I hope they don't reach for Ringo. If they
Reach up for him. Yeah. No
Ringo
kidding.
would be like at 32 or maybe even 49.
Yeah.
Right.
He wouldn't be
like
at
that,
17.
Certainly not.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing Dulac said in that chat that I thought was interesting was somebody asked, and I won't get the wording exactly right, but does he feel like Matt Canada has reflected on last season and made like significant change, like he's aware of his shortcomings, something along those lines? And he was like, no, not at all. And he's like, and if he doesn't change, I think he's out of here at the end of this year. And I thought that was interesting because I don't know, I would expect like the scuttlebutt from inside to be a little bit that, we're adapting, we're growing, we're learning from our mistakes. You know what I mean? We're Kenny's getting ready. You're hearing all these things about individual people, but you're not hearing like the unity of the, like what the system is doing. I expected more of that given the concerns. I know the Steelers don't speak out about a lot of stuff like that, but you still expected like something.
I don't know if it was that chat or some other chat or something that I saw, but basically someone said the weak link on the Steelers offense is Matt Canada.
Oh yeah.
They have
100%.
the talent, but that thing, and that really ticks me off. If it's like, well, if he doesn't have a good year, he's gone at the end of the year. So we have to put up with another year of crap.
Another year of it. Right. I don't get the point of what good that does Kenny Pickett. You know what I mean? People go saying, well, it's bad for Kenny to change offensive coordinators, but it happens all the time. It happened to Trevor Lawrence. Not that he's like blown the world up, but he's survived. It happens to people all the time. It happened to Kenny in college. It happens to people all the time, and they adapt and grow. I mean, you're playing football. It's not like he's learning a new game.
Right.
Yeah.
And you would think it would be even more difficult to change a coordinator after 2 years.
Yes.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So if he screws him, he teaches him bad habits for another year, or the wrong way to do things, or inhibits his growth for another year. How does that benefit Kenny Pickett? Like, I don't know. To me, if you see the writing on the wall, you got to just cut him loose. So that I hope that tells me that they see something in him that no one else sees.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I think is interesting, and I don't know how I misunderstood this, I presumed, and maybe I just read it and then didn't, had the blinders on for the rest of the things I read. Brooke Pryor reported, and this was a while ago, Brooke Pryor reported that he literally signed, his contract was up. He literally signed a 1-year contract. They signed him to a new contract. If you read,
I thought he had a 3-year contract.
No.
I thought this was the last year of his contract. They surely didn't bring him back.
What's that?
They surely didn't bring him back.
Was that something they snuck in somewhere?
It had to be, because they were saying it was his. I mean, what everybody was reporting was that he was on like a 3-year contract, and that was this would be his final year. And then people thought, well, they won't let him go.
Yeah.
They're cheap, so they'll keep him. And
Okay.
he signed a 1-year contract extension last year through 2023.
Right. Yeah.
So
ESPN.
he could have been gone.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I reported this in January. How did you never really hear anybody talking about this? The news was always that it was his 3rd year of his contract.
They were just retaining him. Yeah, but no. They literally saw, they said, hey man, Canada, we want you for another year. Like, what is that? And that was right around the time that, remember it was reported that Rick Tallman was having personal issues. Like he was going through some kind of personal emergency. It was sort of
that was the personal issue. He had to say, hey, Mike. Hey, Mike, we're bringing back Matt Canada. Oh, I don't feel good.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So sick.
Right.
Yeah, I thought he got better, Coach Tomlin said in his end-of-year press conference. Just like our team got better. We have some work to do, but largely I thought he got better. Yeah, we all heard him say that.
Right.
Yeah. The excuse his first Matt Cannon's first year was, well, he had Ben and a bad offensive line, so he can't do much. And then the excuse last year was, well, he had a rookie, so he couldn't do much. Like, what's the excuse going to be this year? It's
right.
No excuses.
There's no excuses. I was so mad. It makes me so mad in retrospect. Every time I think about it, I get fired up at how much garbage everybody threw at Ben, that he was difficult, he was a diva, and, he had to have everything his way. And we were losing because we couldn't run Matt Canada's offense. And do you know what I mean? All of these things that people said. And then you watch him also go through Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett and not be able to do anything with either of them either, unless they go rogue and call their own plays, just like Ben did when we won. And I'm not really a Ben apologist either. I mean, it was time for Ben to go. I'm not a Ben apologist.
And to Ben's credit, he has his own podcast now. He easily could trash Matt Canada, and every time he has a chance to, he actually has nice things to say. Like, okay, taking the high road, cool, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That man found God, and he has taken it to heart because he is a better person than I am. One bad word about anybody. I would be in there spilling the beans. I'd be like, look, I got an audience of like 200,000 people now. Let me tell you the real truth.
Yeah.
When it's time for him and he's up at the pearly gates and they're looking over all of his good deeds and bad deeds. It's like, well, okay, you did say nice things about Matt Canada. Okay, we'll let you into heaven.
Right.
Actually, that might be why they send him to hell.
Be like, he did not hear.
Hell.
I don't know. Look, I grew up Catholic. My priest always said God was a Steelers fan, so he might be really angry about that.
You go to any church in the Pittsburgh area on a Sunday, if it's the late Sunday morning, people are wearing their Sunday best, and their Sunday best is a Steelers jersey. And don't knock that, because that Steelers jersey is the most expensive piece of clothing they have. So it's more than any suit that they're wearing. And a lot
100%.
of like, okay, I'm going to church. I'm eating the body of Christ and the blood of Christ, and then I'm going to a tailgate. I'm drinking Schlitz or whatever.
Even the priest, he's got a Steelers jersey under the cloth. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
He's got the Steelers jersey underneath it for sure.
Father Bill, my childhood priest, used to tuck his terrible towel underneath of his vestments on Sundays during football season. No lie. It was part of like the good luck thing. And if we lost a game the next week, he would come in and he would say like he forgot his terrible towel and back at the rectory and didn't have time to go get it. And it was his fault we lost.
I watched the Super Bowl against the Packers in a church basement with a priest. And let me tell you, that was pretty darn interesting.
That's awesome.
I didn't know priests could get that angry.
Right. Yeah. They swear too. They curse.
I did. I was waiting for curse words. I didn't hear any curse words, but man, he was upset. We were all upset, but let's just say there was no special special dispensation for Rashad Mendenhall.
No prayers for him that night.
In honor of draft day, there's a note I have here. Joey Porter, no matter what.
There you go.
That's the draft day. Right?
That's the draft.
That's a great movie. I remember they're like, we didn't draft a quarterback because nobody came to his birthday party. That's the kind of draft. Yeah. That's the draft analysis you want. His friends don't like him.
Right. That's why we didn't draft him. I actually just rewatched that movie. I flew up to Pennsylvania, got the last of my stuff and drove it back down. And when I was waking up early in the morning, I turned the TV, it was on. And so I got hooked rewatching it while I was eating my breakfast before I hit the road again.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's entertaining.
It's not bad.
And Kevin Costner's in it, so there's that.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt.
Kevin Costner.
Wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner makes everything better.
He does.
I don't watch Yellowstone, but apparently he's the main reason to watch Yellowstone. I don't know.
Do you watch Yellowstone, Allison?
I do. It took me 2 episodes. It took me like 3 or 4 to really get into it, because at first I was kind of like, I don't really know if this is my thing.
I tried.
It looks very, no knock on stuff like this, but it looks very country to me, and that's usually not my jam.
Yeah, I'm not usually a country person either, but
yeah.
I tried.
Knock on people that is their thing. It's just not mine.
I just couldn't get through the first episode. Yeah, it's just not my thing. Do they need, or do you think wide receiver is something they'll draft for, or they kind of have to now? They
Kinda
didn't get,
have to,
that's one
right?
thing they didn't get. Like, you got to get someone in the first 4 rounds, I think.
But
Yeah.
you keep hearing all the analysts talking about, like people keep forgetting about Calvin Austin. And I feel like it depends on what the organization feels like they know about Calvin Austin. Like, what have they seen from him? Do you know what I mean? What do they think about his recovery? What have they seen from him? Where do they think he stands? I mean, he certainly had the potential.
I sort of feel like if they draft a rookie, you're in the same position that you are with Calvin Austin. You don't know.
You don't know. So then you got a competition.
Yeah, exactly. But they didn't re-sign Steven Sims, which I was surprised about. I was sort of waiting for that to happen, and he went to what?
Yeah, I thought he did well, better than he did in Washington. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So they didn't, and so I sort of felt like that was and with the Claypool trade, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it felt like well, this is, they're definitely gonna definitely take one, and it's so Steelers like. I'd be shocked if they didn't take one by at least the 3rd or 4th round, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're gonna take maybe two.
Do you think there's any chance they'll go for that Addison in the first round?
I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
I think it's possible. Let's go. Let's get Joey Porter's kid. Let's get Kenny Pickett's buddy. Who the second the 49th pick. Let's pick somebody else's buddy. Let's just go all friends and family draft. Let's go.
You got an ant that looks good in yellow. Come on to Pittsburgh. Let's go. All the Steeler connections.
If he falls to 32 or 49, you would think that he would be really.
If he falls to 32, I could see us doing it. I hope we wouldn't go up to get him take him at 17.
Oh no, we'd be the laughing stock of the league for years.
But there's people out there that are like seriously arguing for it on Twitter. I'm like, what are you smoking? Because that's just it's not realistic. No sexy first round picks. We've said it over and over again. For a whole year, I've been saying it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to listen.
We're done with the sexy picks. We're done with the
just for a little bit.
Meat and potatoes. You want a tackle or a cornerback or a defensive line or something like that.
We want big boys.
Or that safety from Alabama. What's his name? Is that Branch or whatever?
Brian Branch.
He can play everything.
He can. He's incredibly talented.
We're just gonna take.
I like that though. We had Curry on our podcast this past week, and he talked a lot about how the defense is changing. Do you know what I mean? And the evolution of these more athletic guys at linebacker and safety and cornerback. And so I think those hybrid guys are like him are really interesting. I think you can do a lot with them.
He is not just a safety. He could be a slot corner. He could be. You could throw him all over.
Yeah. Yes. He's like a Swiss Army knife.
Like we could get him at. I sort of feel like we could get him at 32.
Right. I thought Aaron Curry projected higher than that.
Aaron Curry's the current linebacker coach for the Steelers.
Yeah, our new one we just hired.
Exactly.
And you just dang, you guys get the best guests. I am so jealous. Dang. Nobody likes me. No offense to you. I guess I end up with.
What are we? Chopped liver?
No, I can always count on you guys.
Projected at 24 says what this says. Okay. The Jaguars have him mocking to him at 24, but I've seen him going higher than that. I think it's just going to depend because on the PFF board, he's rated the 14th best player. Do you know what I mean? On their big draft board. Not that that's the gospel.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not that crazy about trading up, but I would kind of like to trade back a little bit and get like an extra second round or a third round pick or something like that. I think that would be cool.
I don't hate that depending on what we really want to do at first round.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that scares me is they say, there's a lot of depth in the cornerback position, but do you really want like another freaking project? I would rather have someone that's polished and ready to go.
Yep. Yes.
I don't want another cornerback draft disaster.
Bust. Yeah.
So many of those. So many. That's why I'm scared.
I agree.
I'm a little scared.
Yeah.
It's
Not our
scary.
specialty.
It's scary. It's scary that I mean, there's Christian Gonzalez. There's the Illinois dude. I think Witherspoon's his name. There's Joey Porter, and then there's Banks from Maryland, and that really scares me, just because I don't think has any good player ever come from Maryland.
No,
I don't think so.
I'm sure they have. Let's see. Can I get this?
I think so.
Matt Canada. No, Anthony McFarland was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says a lot, I think. About.
So Gonzalez, Devin Witherspoon, Joey Porter Jr., Cam Smith from South Carolina, Kelly Ringo from Georgia, Deontay Banks from Maryland. A lot of people like that Banks kid. They think that, I mean, I've seen a lot of people say that they wouldn't even mind seeing us pick him at 17. I think he's more of a 32 and, you know, maybe not your day one starter, but
I think it's all like how everything falls.
But
I've seen a lot of mocks taking the Steelers take Banks at 17 just because.
I think it was Kuiper that just did one because I covered it for Steeler Nation. Was one of those mocks just had him going to us because I covered it for SN.
Stephon Diggs and DJ Moore, who just got traded to the Bears. They're from University of Maryland. So
there you go.
Maryland actually has produced a couple good people.
A few.
You know what's interesting? I read a quote from some Bears dude about what does it say about the fact that, you know, they traded for DJ Moore, like that the package included DJ Moore. What does that say about Chase Claypool? Right.
I have seen Bears fans talk about Chase Claypool and like, oh, we're so excited. Oh, and somebody said, oh yeah, he's big. He's going to get those jump balls. And I almost had a heart attack. Like I almost laughed myself to death. Like, we thought that too. That's so cute.
Have fun. That's cute. Yeah, we said the same thing once upon a time. The only thing I'll say, we just didn't see it last year, but you know, you hope that sometimes maybe it just wasn't a good fit for him in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? We've certainly gotten players that haven't done well somewhere else, and they come to us, and we manage to unlock some untapped potential in them. So, you know, wish nothing but the best for Claypool. So I hope that the situation is a good one for him. But yeah, I agree with you. We certainly didn't see that, and I don't know. I guess you have to fake the enthusiasm, fake it until you make it or something if you're a fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd be pissed if I was a Bears fan.
Oh, no. I mean, I would like not knowing.
At least we did like the Trojan horse number on them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We did. Yeah.
Just remember, there were two teams that wanted Chase Claypool. One was the Bears, one was the Packers. We said, you know what? We'll take the Packers second round pick and not the Bears second round pick and not the Packers. That would have been like between the beginning of the second round and the end of the second round.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very interesting considering that's the first pick of the second round and considering that they only do the first round that one night. What's going to happen on Friday if the Steelers are going to get trade offers and if they're going to act on
crazy night. Yeah, it's going to be a crazy night.
Up the hook.
Oh, some crazy person's going to fall. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yep. I feel like if they do trade that 32nd pick, they're going to get a boatload and then they're going to laugh.
I can see it.
If they do that, it's all about what they do with those picks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they make the most out of it.
Yeah.
Yins will be writing an article in a couple years. And the title will be How Chase Claypool Helped the Steelers Win the Super Bowl.
Yes. I swear, I'm telling you, I said that to somebody else not too long ago that we are going to be talking about, like, you know, the 6 degrees of separation, the Chase Claypool trade, and like how that led to this like spiral of events that led to us winning the Super Bowl or becoming a dynasty or something. Absolutely.
They'll trade that 32nd pick for like 3 Hall of Famers or something like that.
Right, or how the Chase Claypool trade went, you know, turned one bust into 7 Pro Bowlers or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be great.
That would be awesome.
Love it. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be crazy. And it's just, we're about 2 weeks away? 3 weeks away.
3 weeks.
So
23 days.
23 days. So
Yep.
Very, very exciting. All right, guys.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it to sound like I had to settle for having you guys on. I did
We
not
know.
mean that.
We know what you meant.
Right.
We know. We love you, Joe.
I am lucky. No, I try to get people, they don't want to come on, but I have you guys and a few other people that I can
Yeah.
always count on, and I have much better time with you guys than
See?
other people.
Yeah.
We have a better
Those
time
other
than
people
we
are-
did with Alex Highsmith, so.
Yeah. Don't lie to him.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Bye,
Jimmy.
Joe.
We'll see you.
Bye,
Here we go.
Allison.